Chosen one, stop. Whatever you were doing before this moment, I need you to pause. Because what you are about to hear in the next 30 minutes is not something you stumbled upon by accident. Nothing about this moment is random. You were guided here. You were pulled here by something you probably cannot even fully explain. Maybe you were scrolling mindlessly. Maybe you were in the middle of a thought about someone who hurt you. Maybe you were feeling that familiar heaviness, that quiet exhaustion that only certain kinds of souls carry. The ones who feel everything too deeply, who forgive too quickly, who give too much and receive too little. Maybe you are sitting right now in the middle of a season that has tested you in ways you never expected. And something inside you, something quiet and knowing, told you to stop, told you to listen, told you that this message was waiting for you. That feeling you just had, that is not coincidence. That is confirmation. And everything I am about to say to you was written for your soul specifically. Not for the crowd, not for the masses, but for you. The one who was always different, always deeper, always chosen, even when it didn't feel that way. Because here is the truth that most people will never understand. Karma does not work the way the world thinks it does. It is not a simple transaction. It is not an eye for an eye delivered on a human timeline. It is something far more precise, far more powerful, and far more divine than anything a human mind can engineer. And lately, for chosen ones specifically, karma has been moving. It has been settling scores that have been open for years. It has been returning energy to the people who sent it out. It has been completing cycles that you thought might never close. And if you have been feeling it, if something in the past few weeks or months has shifted around you in ways you cannot quite explain, if people who once caused you pain are now experiencing consequences you never even asked for, then I need you to hear this clearly. That is not luck. That is not coincidence. That is the divine hand of God, moving on your behalf, in divine timing, in a way that is far more powerful than anything you could have arranged yourself. Type yes in the comments right now if you have been feeling this shift. If something in the atmosphere around your life has been changing lately, type yes and let God's people confirm what your spirit already knows. You were never ordinary. I need you to understand that before we go any deeper into this message. You were never built for an ordinary life. You were never wired the way most people are wired. From the very beginning, something about you was different. Maybe you felt it as a child, that quiet knowing that you saw the world differently than the people around you, that you felt things more deeply, that you cared in ways other people couldn't quite understand, that your empathy ran so deep it sometimes felt like a burden, that your sensitivity, the thing people may have even mocked you for, was actually a spiritual antenna, receiving frequencies that others were never designed to pick up. That is not weakness. That has never been weakness. That is the mark of someone who was chosen before they even had the language to understand what that meant. And because you were chosen, because you carry something rare and powerful inside you, the enemy, the forces of darkness, the people controlled by low energy and low intention, they came for you. They came hard, sometimes through people you loved, sometimes through people you trusted completely, sometimes through the people you let closest to your heart. They didn't know why they targeted you. Most of them acted on impulse, on insecurity, on their own pain that they refused to heal. But the spiritual truth behind it is this: when something is valuable, it gets attacked. When something is rare, darkness tries to destroy it before it can rise. When someone is chosen, the opposition comes early and it comes heavy. And if you have experienced betrayal, if you have experienced abandonment, if you have experienced manipulation or cruelty from people you never deserved it from, I want you to hear this now. That was never about your worth. That was always about your destiny. Listen carefully, because what I am about to say is going to hit differently depending on where you are in your journey. God does not waste pain. Every single thing you have been through, every tear that fell when no one was watching, every night you lay awake questioning your worth, every season you felt invisible, passed over, overlooked or forgotten, none of that was wasted. Every single piece of it was being woven into something. You could not see it then. You may not fully see it now, but the weaving was happening. The preparation was happening. God was building something in you that could only be built through the exact fires you were walking through. The character you carry today, the depth you carry today, the resilience that moves quietly through your bones today, that was forged in pain. Real pain. The kind that breaks people who are not chosen and transforms people who are. Comment Amen if you know exactly what that kind of pain feels like. If you have walked through a fire and come out the other side, not understanding how you survived, but knowing that something greater than yourself carried you through. Comment Amen, because you deserve to be witnessed in this moment. Now let us talk about the people who caused that pain. Because this is the part of the message that chosen ones have been waiting to hear. And I want to speak carefully here, because this is not about revenge. This is not about satisfaction at someone else's suffering. This is about something much deeper and much more spiritually significant. This is about divine justice. This is about the law of sowing and reaping that exists not just in Scripture, but woven into the very fabric of the universe itself. What you send out returns. What you plant grows. What you release into the world comes back, multiplied, in the same spirit in which it was sent. And the people who sent cruelty into your life, who sent betrayal, who sent manipulation, who sent rejection, who sent pain disguised as love, the harvest of what they planted is coming. For some of them, it has already arrived. You may have already seen it beginning, the relationship that seemed so perfect after they left you now showing its cracks. The person who chose them over you now experiencing what it feels like to be on the receiving end of that same energy. The colleague who undermined you now facing the professional consequences of their own dishonesty. The friend who betrayed your trust now sitting in the same loneliness they helped create in your life. You did not arrange any of this. You did not scheme. You did not plot. You simply kept walking in your truth, kept honoring your integrity, kept doing the quiet, faithful work of becoming who God designed you to be. And God, who sees everything, who forgets nothing, who keeps a perfect record of every wound inflicted upon his chosen ones, began to move. This is not karma the way the world misunderstands it. This is divine orchestration. This is the justice of a God who does not sleep, who is not slow, who is not blind, who simply moves on a timeline that is higher and more precise than anything the human mind can comprehend. When God settles a score, he settles it completely. When God restores what was taken from a chosen one, he restores it with interest. When God vindicates the ones who were falsely accused, quietly suffering, unjustly treated, the vindication is not small. It is not quiet. It is unmistakable. And if you have been waiting for justice, if you have been holding on through a season that felt impossibly long and impossibly hard, I need you to look up right now, because God has been watching, and he has been working. And what is coming for you is not just justice, it is acceleration. Type 777 in the comments if you trust God's timing, if you have reached the place where you can release the outcome to divine hands, and simply trust that what is meant for you will reach you. Type 777. Because that level of trust is rare, that level of faith is not ordinary, and God honors it every single time. There is something that happens to chosen ones, specifically during seasons of waiting and spiritual attack, that I want to address, because it is one of the most misunderstood experiences a spiritually awakened person can go through. It is the experience of isolation, of suddenly finding yourself alone in ways you did not expect. Of relationships that once felt permanent, dissolving almost overnight. Of feeling like the people around you can no longer relate to who you are becoming. of conversations that once felt energizing, now feeling hollow and empty, of pulling away from noise, from crowds, from the constant motion of social life, and finding yourself sitting in a stillness that both frightens and comforts you at the same time. If that has been your experience, if you have been walking through a season of isolation that has sometimes felt like loneliness, but at a deeper level has felt strangely necessary, I need you to hear this now. You were not abandoned, you were set apart. There is a difference between abandonment and divine separation. Abandonment is loss without purpose. Divine separation is God removing you from what no longer aligns with where He is taking you, even when you didn't yet know where He was taking you. The people who left, the doors that closed, the circles that dissolved, they were not punishments. They were preparations. God was clearing the stage. God was removing the distractions. God was quietly and deliberately creating the space that something new, something greater, something aligned with your actual destiny is about to occupy. The silence you have been sitting in is not empty. It is pregnant with possibility. And the next chapter of your story is going to make the isolation make complete sense. You may have noticed something else during this season. A heightened sensitivity to energy. An ability to read people and situations that you didn't quite have before, or that has become sharper, clearer, more precise. An ability to sense when something is off before anyone around you can see it. An ability to feel the intentions behind words, behind actions, behind smiles that don't quite reach the eyes. This is not paranoia. This is spiritual discernment. This is one of the gifts that grows specifically in chosen ones during seasons of deep spiritual refinement. Every attack you survived made you more spiritually sharp. Every betrayal you lived through made your discernment more accurate. Every person who lied to you unknowingly trained your spirit to recognize truth from deception. You are not more suspicious. You are more awake. And awake is exactly what God needs you to be for where He is about to take you. Type 1111 in the comments if you have been feeling more spiritually awake lately. If things are becoming clearer, if you are sensing things differently, if you are seeing through things that used to confuse you, type 1111 because that awakening is a sign, a significant one, and you deserve to know what it means. Let me tell you something about the people who hurt you that most spiritual messages will never say out loud. The ones who betrayed you, who abandoned you, who chose their comfort over your well-being, who saw your light and tried to dim it, who benefited from your kindness and then discarded you. They were not equipped for you. That sounds simple, but it is one of the most liberating truths a chosen one can receive. They were not equipped for you. They were not built to hold what you carry. They were not spiritually developed enough to recognize the gift that was standing right in front of them. And because they were not equipped, they defaulted to the only response that unequipped people have when they encounter something they cannot understand. They attacked it. They diminished it. They tried to make it smaller so it would fit inside their limited perception of what was possible. But you cannot make a river small by trying to contain it. You cannot dim a star by refusing to look at it. And you cannot destroy a chosen one by simply deciding they are ordinary. The truth of what you are does not change based on whether someone else can see it. And here is what happened to the people who refused to see you, who refused to honor you, who walked away from the gift of who you are. They lost. They may not see it yet. Their pride may not have allowed them to acknowledge it yet. But they lost something they will spend years trying to replace, and they will not be able to replace it because what you carry is not common. It is not found on every corner. It is not reproduced easily. The love you offer, the loyalty you carry, the depth you bring into every relationship and every room you enter, that is not ordinary. And the people who walked away from it, who undervalued it, who mishandled it, are already beginning to understand the weight of what they let go. Karma is not just what comes around. Karma is also what is lost when you turn away from something sacred. The consequences of walking away from a chosen one are not always loud and dramatic. Sometimes they are quiet and cumulative. A persistent emptiness that the next relationship cannot fill. A restlessness that comfort and success cannot quiet. A knowing, deep and unavoidable, that something significant was released carelessly, and that release cannot be undone. The people who hurt you are living with that now. Some of them will never say it. Some of them will never admit it. But on the inside, in the quiet hours of their honest moments, they feel it. They know. And that knowing is its own form of consequence. Like this video right now, if you have been released from someone who did not recognize your worth. Because being released from what does not recognize your value is not a loss. It is a divine relocation. It is God moving you out of an environment that was too small for your purpose and into position for something far greater than anything that was taken from you. I want to talk to you now about something that chosen ones often struggle with during spiritual warfare and seasons of karmic return. It is the temptation to carry guilt. The temptation to look at consequences falling on the people who hurt you and feel somehow responsible, as if you should have done something to prevent it. As if your prayers, your goodness, your refusal to retaliate somehow set a cosmic chain in motion that you now feel unworthy of. I need to address this directly and clearly. You are not responsible for the harvest that others planted. You did not cause the consequences that are now reaching them. You were not the one who put the wrong into motion. They were. And the divine law that governs all things simply ensured that what was sent out eventually came home to its source. Your hands are clean in this. Your heart has been clean in this all along. What is being returned to them is their own energy, completing its natural cycle. You did not call it down. You did not arrange it. You simply remained faithful while God remained just. This is one of the most important spiritual distinctions a chosen one must learn to hold. There is a difference between wishing harm on someone and simply trusting that divine justice will handle what you were never supposed to handle yourself. Chosen ones who try to take justice into their own hands always slow down their own journey, because the moment you step into the role that belongs to God, you step out of the position of protection that comes from walking in humility and trust. The most powerful thing you ever did for yourself was the moment you decided to release the people who hurt you into God's hands and simply keep walking forward in your purpose. That decision, that act of surrender, was not weakness. It was the most sophisticated spiritual move you could have made. It activated forces on your behalf that you are only now beginning to see the full effect of. Now I want to speak to you about where you are going. Because this message is not only about what happened behind you, it is about what is coming ahead of you. And what is coming ahead of you is unlike anything your past has prepared you to expect. Because here is the truth about chosen ones who have survived deep spiritual warfare, deep betrayal, deep seasons of pain and isolation and waiting. They come out of those seasons fundamentally different from who they went in as. Not just stronger, not just wiser, different at the core, changed in ways that are almost alchemical. The person who enters a season of deep refining fire is not the same person who walks out of it. The dross is gone. The impurities are gone. What remains is something pure, something focused, something spiritually sharp and divinely aligned in a way that was not possible before the fire. You are walking out of the fire now. Or you are in the final stages of it, and the version of you that is emerging, the version that has been through the betrayal and survived it, through the isolation and survived it, through the spiritual attack and survived it, through the waiting and survived it, that version of you is not comparable to who you were before. You have been refined. You have been rebuilt, and the life that is being prepared for the refined, rebuilt version of you is categorically different from anything the unrefined version could have received or handled. What God is bringing you into now requires everything you became in the fire. It requires the discernment. It requires the resilience. It requires the spiritual clarity. It requires the unshakable faith that can only be built through seasons exactly like the one you just survived. Type 222 in the comments if you are ready for the breakthrough that is already on its way to you. If something in your spirit knows that a new season is opening, type 222. Because the fact that you are still here, still watching, still seeking, still believing, is already proof that you are ready for what comes next. Let me tell you something about divine timing that will change the way you understand every delay you have experienced. God does not delay what He wants to give you because He is withholding it. God delays it because He is preparing you to be able to receive it without losing it. There is a version of every blessing that arrives too early before the recipient has the character, the wisdom, the groundedness, the spiritual maturity to hold it correctly. And when a blessing arrives before its carrier is ready, it does not end in blessing. It ends in disaster. God knows this better than anyone. And because God loves chosen ones with a precision and a specificity that is difficult to fully comprehend, He ensures that what He sends them arrives at exactly the moment they are ready to receive it, hold it, steward it wisely, and multiply it in ways that honor both the giver and the recipient. Every delay you have experienced was not God forgetting you. It was God loving you enough to make you ready for what He was already holding for you. Every season that felt like punishment was actually preparation. Every closed door was God protecting you from a room that was not big enough for your purpose. Every person who left was God clearing the path of someone who would have distracted you, drained you, or diminished you during the most important season of your life. The timing has always been perfect. It did not feel that way, but it was. And when you look back from where you are going, you will understand this with a clarity and a gratitude that will move you to tears. Nothing about your life has been accidental. Not the family you were born into, not the struggles you faced early on, not the gifts that made you stand out, not the pain that tried to knock you down, not the people who came into your life and left marks both beautiful and painful. Every single detail of your story was woven with intentionality by hands that see the entire tapestry at once, while you have only ever been able to see the thread you are currently holding. But the design is breathtaking. The design is extraordinary. And the place your thread is being pulled toward is more beautiful than anything you have yet imagined for yourself. I want to speak directly now to the chosen ones who are in the deepest part of the fire right now. The ones for whom this season has not yet turned. The ones who are still in the middle of the storm, still in the middle of the waiting, still carrying wounds that have not yet fully healed, still watching people who hurt them seeming to prosper while they struggle quietly in the shadows. If that is where you are, this part of this message is specifically for you, and I need you to hear every word. Your breakthrough is not delayed because God forgot about you. It is delayed because what God is preparing to release into your life is so significant, so weighty, so completely transformative that the preparation for it required a season unlike anything you have experienced before. The greater the assignment, the deeper the preparation. The more powerful the purpose, the more intense the refinement. You are not being punished. You are being prepared for something that required the exact fire you are walking through. And I know that is not easy to hear when the fire is still burning. I know that when you are in pain, in genuine bone-deep spiritual and emotional pain, the idea that it is purposeful can feel almost cruel. But chosen one, the fact that you are still standing, still believing, still seeking, still in this moment choosing to listen for the voice of God through whatever form it reaches you, that is not ordinary. That is supernatural. That is the evidence of something inside you that pain has not broken and cannot break. Because what is inside you was placed there before you were born, before the pain arrived, before the attack came, before the betrayal happened, before the isolation settled in. God placed something in you that all of it was designed to destroy, and all of it failed. You are still here. You are still standing, and that means everything. Type "still standing" in the comments if you have survived things that were meant to destroy you. Type it loud. Type it with every ounce of spiritual authority you carry. because that testimony, that simple truth that you are still standing, is one of the most powerful statements a chosen one can make. And someone who is watching this right now, someone who is on the edge of giving up, someone who is questioning whether they can keep going, needs to see that you are still standing. Your survival is someone else's permission to keep going. I want to address something now that does not get spoken about in most spiritual content: the exhaustion of being chosen. Because it is real. It is the kind of exhaustion that goes beyond being tired in your body. It is the exhaustion of carrying more than your share, of being the strong one, of feeling everything at a deeper frequency than the people around you, of holding space for others while quietly wondering who holds space for you. It is the exhaustion of loving people fully and being partially loved in return. It is the exhaustion of walking a path that nobody around you fully understands, of making decisions based on spiritual knowing when everyone around you is operating from logic alone. It is the exhaustion of being awake in a world that is largely asleep. And if you feel that exhaustion, if it lives somewhere in your chest right now as you hear these words, I want you to know that it is being seen. You are being seen, not just by me, by God, by the divine intelligence that wove your purpose into your DNA before you took your first breath. Your exhaustion is not a sign that you are losing. It is a sign of how hard you have been fighting. And fighters who have been going this long, who are still upright, who are still choosing faith, who are still reaching for the voice of God even while running on empty, those are the fighters who are about to experience something they have never experienced before. Not just rest, restoration, not just peace, divine peace, not just breakthrough, transformation. God has been preparing you. Every difficult conversation you had to navigate alone built your emotional intelligence. Every financial struggle you survived built your resourcefulness and your faith in provision. Every health battle you faced built your relationship with your own resilience. Every relational wound built your understanding of grace, of boundaries, of what real love looks like compared to its imitations. Every professional setback built the character that will carry the success that is coming without letting it corrupt you. You were not just surviving all of this time. You were being educated. You were being trained. You were being shaped into the exact instrument that the specific purpose God designed you for requires. And the education is almost complete. Like this video now, if you feel deep in your spirit that something is shifting, if you feel that the season is changing, if you sense that the tide that was against you for so long is beginning, slowly but unmistakably, to turn in your favor, like this video as an act of faith, as a declaration to the universe that you see the shift, you feel the shift, and you are choosing to align yourself with it rather than resist it out of fear that it will be taken away again. Here is what is coming for chosen ones in this season. I want you to hear this prophetically, not as prediction, but as spiritual alignment with what God has already prepared. The connections that are coming are not like the connections that left. The people who are about to enter your life are coming with the exact frequency that matches who you have become through the fire. They are coming with real love, not performance, with real loyalty, not convenience, with real spiritual depth, not surface-level conversation. The relationships that are being prepared for you are ones that your heart has been quietly longing for without even fully knowing how to name what it needed. Deep soul connections, relationships where you do not have to shrink, where you do not have to perform, where you do not have to earn your right to be loved. Relationships where you are simply received as you are, fully, completely, without condition. The opportunities that are coming are not like the opportunities that passed you by. They are coming with doors that were custom built for the exact gifts you carry. Opportunities that are not just financially meaningful, but spiritually aligned. Work and purpose that does not just pay the bills, but feeds your soul. Assignments that only the specific combination of your gifts, your experiences, your pain, your wisdom, and your resilience could fulfill. Nobody else on this planet can fill the exact role that is being prepared for you. Nobody else has your specific combination of everything you are, and the world needs what only you can bring to it. That is not arrogance. That is divine design. The healing that is coming is deep, generational, the kind that does not just touch the surface, but reaches into roots, into places you may not have even known were wounded, into family patterns that have cycled for generations that are about to be broken in your lifetime. You were chosen not just for your own destiny, but for the liberation of a lineage. The things that could not be healed in those who came before you are going to be healed through you. The cycles that could not be broken in generations before yours are going to be broken in yours. That is enormous weight. But chosen ones were built for enormous weight, and you will not carry it alone. You were never meant to carry any of it alone. This is your confirmation. If you have been questioning whether you are on the right path, whether the sacrifices you have made were worth it, whether the faith you have held through the darkness was naive, or whether it was the wisest thing you have ever done, let this be your answer. You are on the right path. The sacrifices are being honored. The faith was not naive. It was the exact right response to what God placed inside you. And it is the very thing that kept the door open to everything that is now moving toward you. Type confirmed in the comments if you receive this word today. Type it as a declaration. Type it as a seal over the message your spirit just received. Because there is power in declaration. There is power in spoken and written agreement with truth. And the truth that you are chosen, that you are protected, that you are seen, that you are on the verge of a breakthrough that will make everything you walked through make perfect sense. That truth deserves to be declared out loud. I want to spend these final moments of this message speaking to your spirit at the deepest level I can reach. Because everything I have said up to this point has been building toward this. You have been fighting a battle that most people around you could not even see. You have been carrying wounds that you learned to carry quietly because showing them felt unsafe. You have been doing the deep, invisible, unrewarded work of healing, of growing, of choosing faith again and again, even after it cost you something to do so. And I want to say something that perhaps you have not heard often enough, or at all. I am proud of you. Not because of what you accomplished, not because of what you achieved, but because of who you chose to remain through everything that tried to change you into something smaller. You stayed tender when you could have become hard. You stayed faithful when you could have become bitter. You stayed kind when the world gave you every reason to become cold. That is extraordinary. That is the mark of someone who was not just surviving. That was the mark of someone who was becoming. And here is the final word of this message. The karma that has been returning to those who harmed you is not the most important thing that is happening right now. It is one of many things. It is the background symphony, the main melody, the central story. The most important development in this entire season is not what is happening to them. It is what is happening to you. It is the transformation that has been quietly taking place inside you through everything you have walked through. It is the version of you that has emerged on the other side of betrayal and isolation and spiritual attack and delayed timing and exhaustion and doubt and every single dark night you prayed through. That version of you, the one listening to this message right now, is not who you were when this season began. You are more. You are deeper. You are sharper. You are more spiritually powerful. You are more aligned. You are more ready. And what God is about to do with that version of you is going to be the most stunning chapter of a story that was already extraordinary. There is a reason you are hearing this today. There is a reason this video appeared in your feed on this specific day at this specific moment. There is a reason something inside you told you to stop and listen. And there is a reason that by the time you have reached these final words, something in you feels different than it did when you pressed play. That difference is real. Honor it. Protect it. Carry it with you into the next moment, the next day, the next season, because it is the beginning of something that will not end in disappointment. It will not end in confusion. It will not end in loss. It will end in everything God spoke over your life before you were formed. It will end in purpose fulfilled. It will end in the kind of testimony that changes other people's lives. It will end in the confirmation that everything you believed through the hardest seasons was not wishful thinking. It was prophetic knowing. You are not ordinary. You never were. You have no idea how powerful you truly are, but you are about to find out. And the world, the specific corner of the world that needs exactly what you carry, is waiting. God bless you, chosen one. Your season has turned. Walk into it without fear. Walk into it with everything you have become, and do not look back at what was left behind, because where you are going, you will not need it.